Berlin is full with little ancestral artifacts that they still speak to you, both good and bad. Every corner here has a meaning, a message, and there's some philosopher or ideologue from the past who still has a statue or a quote or something like this going on. And one of the things I grew past is there's a little hole in the floor in front of a great palace where there's a glass where they have empty bookshelves, and it's a memorial for the books that the National Socialists burned back in the days to eradicate the history. You yourself, David, are an author. When did your journey of becoming a writer start? Because I feel writing a book in itself is a revolutionary act, so to say.
When did it start? So I said to you that I was very good at some subjects and not good at others in school. I was very good at maths and physics, and I was very bad at English. And I say it now almost with as a badge of pride that I failed high school English. Uh, I did not like
We
reading
can
the
we can
books.
take we can take a pause here. What is it now that you're a best-selling author? What would you tell to that particular English teacher who failed you, so to say?
The my I failed because I didn't put in the work. Okay, and we can keep running on this. I failed because I did not do the work. I didn't like the work. I didn't like reading the books. I didn't practice doing exams. I did the stuff that came easy to me, and this came hard. So, what would I say to my English teacher back then? Or what do I say to my kids now? To say, what I'll say to them is that whatever you did in school does not define you. And the Australian school system now, the Victorian Certificate of Education, is an awful system, and it puts pressure on kids for 2 years to get some magic number that they think is going to be the key to their success. So to anybody who's gone through that system, I say, screw it. It doesn't define you. I failed English. I was very, very bad at writing and written expression back then. And now I'm an accomplished writer and author. So the biggest lesson for me is that you can reinvent yourself. You could learn new skills and develop things at any stage in life. And that's the most important thing to know. It's that growth mindset. So if you want to know my journey as an author, it started with a chip on my shoulder for having failed English.
Um, have you read by any chance Laszlo's Polgar's Bring Up Genius, or do you know of the story of the
I've,
Polgar
I've,
family?
I've heard of it. I've heard of it. I've not read it. And I'm actually not a big reader of books these days. I actually prefer to consume articles because it's just more efficient. I mean, I'm not a quick reader, but I'm thirsty for information, and a book would take me, a non-fiction book would take me a long time. Actually, a fiction book would take me a long time too. And so I don't read a lot of books. I do read a lot of summaries. I do read a real lot of articles. Every week, I probably read probably one book worth of articles. Maybe in terms of volume. Um, I don't know if you want to know more about my journey that led me to write a book.
Let me pick up on something before that. So
Okay.
Polgar was an interesting person. Like Polgar looked at all the geniuses from history, the people who really excelled at their craft. Like I think he looked at Bach and at some of the Da Vinci and all these things. And one of the things that he found was his thesis would geniuses are not born, they're raised through a particular form. And one of the things he mentioned was the environment and early childhood specialization. And to test his thesis, he, in romantic manner, like wrote, I think, in a newspaper that he was looking for a wife to test this, and then he found Clara, and they picked chess as a discipline to test this experience that they can create a genius on purpose. And they had two beautiful daughters, and they kind of redesigned their entire environment, put chess posters and books everywhere, and taught them chess from an early age. And by the time they were 12, they were some of the best chess players in the world. And he fought the education system in great many ways. My question for you is: you grew up in a business family. Do you feel that you've been early childhood specialized in um, the craft that you are still to this day are engaging in, which is like wealth advisory and success management, all these kind of things, and entrepreneurial excellence?
I don't think so. First of all, that story, it reminds me of the Williams girls, whose father raised them to be tennis champions from a young age and was successful. Um, my parents weren't like that. However, they were very, what's the word? Pushy, demanding, um, had high expectations. We grew up with very high expectations from our parents, and um, and they were very critical. Nothing but the best was good enough. You know, the story I've told a zillion times is when I came home one day with 93% on a maths test, and my mother said, "What happened to the other 7 marks?" And not well done, but why aren't you better? So that was the message. The message from my parents are you can achieve anything. You're really good. Achieve better, but keep achieving better. Not whatever you do. So again, it's a mixed message. The message is you are capable of great things, but what you're doing now isn't good enough. You need to be better. Rather than saying whatever you are is good. We love you as you are. The message was we want you to be better. And I guess that instilled with me a desire to be an overachiever, I guess. I don't know. Um, it's something I've been working on for a number of years, reconciling all of those emotions of but I'm driven to succeed. And but also there are some things where I felt failure was not an option. Um, you know, in entrepreneurship, sometimes they say fail fast. You know, try something, it doesn't work, fail, try again. For me, in my business, I felt failure was not an option because failure would be failure. That would be, no, that's not good enough. That's just defeat. Um, and something that couldn't be countenanced. And in a way, that was something that drove me forward to say, I can't fail. I cannot fail. Therefore, I must succeed, and I will continue until I do succeed.
One of my favorite questions is from a quote is from Carl Jung. He said, the most important question everybody can ask themselves is, what myth am I living? And it's very interesting for me. Like currently, I'm to the platform I'm building. I have to design system instructions for AI assistants that I'm building, which reminds me a lot of the belief systems that are governing us, so I can interact as the basis properly. What for you was an early programmer that helped you to create your story that you're still living in, so to say?
I'm a big fan of Jung, and in particular, the most important thing that I take from him is the need for individuation.
Mm.
Um, in order to for a child to grow up. And you know, when you're in a family, you know, the family subsumes everything and it can be hard to become your own person. And that's been my personal challenge for a lot of my life because in our community we were a prominent family and I was from a very young age judged by my surname, by family name. People knew my family and therefore made assumptions about me. Um, and that meant that they didn't see me for me. They saw me as, oh, you're just part of that family. And that was again something that drove me to say, how can I be me? How can I make my own personal mark in the world as an individual rather than be the son of or part of this family? And that again is Jungian individuation.